Hey everybody, welcome to the pre-market analysis that we open to the public every single Wednesday. Thanks for joining us this morning. Gonna give you guys a little bit of a breakdown of what's going to happen today. Once I'm done speaking, Beth's gonna come on, give you a breakdown of the macro environment, go through any of the bigger picture items that make sense to be looking at, as well as ETFs, commodities, etc., as well as news events that happen over the course of this evening or that are going to be happening today that we need to be aware of. Once that's done, I'm going to be going over through any of the bigger picture items that make sense to be looking. So I'm going to be going through the individual names that are gapping up, gapping down, talking about those names from a technical standpoint, looking through the names that are gapping up, gapping down in regards to what the news is associated with those gap up, gap downs, talking about the SPY, the FANG, the VIX, the Qs, the IWM, looking at all those names from a technical perspective and building an action plan for them out the gate this morning. After that's done, Selpage will come on, go through the names that he's looking at, individual names that he's looking at this morning, as well as the analyst calls for the day that we need to be aware of, and the macro environment, as well as where he thinks the money is going to flow from a bigger picture perspective. After all that's done, we're going to do a quick little recap of those individual names that I looked at this morning, and then we'll be ready to basically go. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Beth, guys, and I'll talk to you in a little bit, and we'll go through those names in just a couple minutes. Beth, if you're ready, it's all yours.
I am indeed. Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. Welcome. Pre-market here, Spartan Trading, as explained. Welcome to our live YouTube friends. This is what we do every day. It's a lot of fun. A lot of ground to cover today. So yesterday was very interesting, right? I didn't expect the rally we had, and now it's extended. You know the drill. I did put a little hedges on, did a little bit of here, a little bit of there. We'll see how things play out. And I'm going to defer to obviously Spartan on the pullback, what he's looking for. Look, we still have the quarter end window dressing potentially buying into the end of the quarter month, right? So let's talk API crude. Okay. This was not expected, obviously, this drawdown. Getting a little bounce, nice bounce on the crude. You know, I know I sound like a broken record, but on the commodity side, you're going to have pullbacks. You have to make sure that you sell into the pop so you can buy back the drops. That's just how it works, right? So we'll just see how that plays out. Powell, right? I mean, what the hell can he say? I mean, he basically put a fire under everything. I mean, how much hawkish can he get? I don't know. Data out of, I mean, look, Europe is just, the UK, Europe is just, you know, inflation, right? It's global. It'll be really interesting. I don't know how we get a soft landing in my brain. I don't even know. You know, there's the damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario, right? Behind the curve, above the curve, whatever. The markets, commodity markets are telling us that they're still way behind, and then they got stagflation, recession, depression. I don't know. I mean, statistically, recession, right? But okay. Mortgage. 4.5% now, right? Applications obviously are coming down. I don't know why people didn't go after stuff, but it's still relatively, even at 4.5%. Well, I shouldn't say that. 30 at 4.5%. I believe that the statistical like 5.5%, 6% is probably it, but we're getting real fast, real close. We're going to have the EIA numbers there. New home sales, yada, yada, yada. Fed Daily is speaking, right? I thought Powell is also, you know, talking, already starting to talk, right? So things play out. Okay. Actually, really nice pre-market earnings, Winnebago, EVGO, General Mills, Jinko, like 10-cent highs on. And then yesterday was Adobe and Posh, right? You know the drill, right? If you guide lower, right? Even if you beat, if you guide lower. And then you can see here, it's all about guidance at this point in time. General Mills, really impressive. I started nibble again on the consumer staple side. I had sold out 75%, and now I'm kind of nibbling again. Oh, let's see. Okay. All right, so this is really this dude, Winsmart or Doodad, I don't know who it is, but anyways, it got great graphics. So I really get impressed by some of this stuff here. Hikes priced in, we know 7+, yada yada yada. This is really interesting, the sentiment indicator. Okay. We're at extremely light, and I think that's the case still. And I think that a lot of what we saw in terms of this bounce is just some of the shorts covering sort of stuff. But if you were to look at the institutional side, I still think they haven't been forced, right, to go back in the way they were. So I agree. I still think this is really light, right? Okay, crude. Yeah. Yes. Okay, this is what you got. Volatility up and down and all around. And this is why I continue to say you're going to get these crazy ass pullbacks, right? And basically those are buying opportunities. This was the crazy ass pullback. It basically held an extension. This is where you wanted to buy, right? Inflation spike, right? Energy, well, duh, no duh, right? Anyways, Tencent, ouch. All right, so China, you got a problem. You got a real problem. JD.com is reportedly laying off at least, well, that's not a lot, but you get the idea. This is unheard, this is unthinkable. Adding to massive layoffs seen at other major Chinese tech firms, right? China, you got a problem. Quantitative easing, quit mucking around. All right, so I believe this is going to be the case. US firms in China aren't leaving, they're just not investing. That is true, we know that. Chinese stocks may start exiting. I think this is also going to happen. Okay, I think in the K-Web I showed you, I think more and more companies are going to say, screw this shit. We're going to just post in Hong Kong. You want to play, you're going to pay, sort of thing. I don't know. Well, we shall see. But, you know, there's all this jabberwocking and this, you know, SEC, delisting and all this stuff. I mean, I would love to see the Chinese name stay, and I would love to see them basically get to the, you know, 20th century in terms of counting principles, statements and stuff like that. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Why are stocks climbing with rising yields? In fact, oh, well, there's a list here. Preemptive strike is one on that. The whole picture, number 2, right? Investors feeling with the Fed taking more proactive. Inflation slayer part 2. Buy the dip mentality. Some caution, alarm bells. I just think there's some people who are really caught short and basically the bounce and yada, yada, yada. Look, you got the hedge funds and you got your uber bears, right? Your perma bears with their perma bulls. But and I just think a little bit here. We'll see how this plays out. Okay. It's fun though, right? Who cares? Technicals. Ukraine says confrontation, Roger. Yeah, whatever. Says Biden to sanction. Good. More. Yes. Do bring it on. Okay. Warning China. Well, yeah, okay, we know that. But Bullard says faster. But look, Bullard is an Uber hawk. Okay. And I don't have any problem with the dude. Okay. And everybody thinks that I don't like the dude. My only concern is, what are you going to do with the balance sheet? That's my problem right now. Okay, you got, everybody's talking about the Fed funds, right? What are you going to do with the balance sheet? You can't do both aggressively. That would be a disaster, and that would get you into a recession real damn fast. Okay. I don't know how this works out. I just don't. Do you alternate? I don't know. And that's the problem. And I think that's why they haven't really done anything in terms of, oh yeah, they're not adding to it. Okay, that's fine. That in and of itself, I guess you would consider slightly, you know, raising rates, right? How do you unwind this globally? I don't know. Your eyes are tamped down to it's like, yes, but understand that it's now, okay, I need balance sheet, please. All right, membership under fire from US. Yeah, okay. I don't have a problem with that. US against that deals. This is nice. Steel and American whiskey. Kentucky. Well, that's bourbon. Anyways. So oil's bouncing, the oil names are bouncing, yada, 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 you know, chip shortage easing second half of 2022. Okay, so gasoline prices thinking electric. Yeah, okay, this is the part. Okay, all right, so this is what the administration could and should do, right? Aggressively subsidize EV, solar, aggressively subsidize it, right? Got a union vote in Amazon. Why this is a fascinating video. Okay, it's long, it's like an hour. I encourage you to watch it. There's a lot of levers in place, and this is my narrative, right? And deglobalization. Look, we're decoupling globally, right? And this really rang my bell last week when one of the bright talking heads was on, right? And they were talking about this. And when you decouple, like we're decoupling, the supply chain gets permanently disrupted until you find alternatives. If you can find alternatives. Okay, just say. All right, yield curve, yada, yada, falls, yada, yada, GameStop's. Okay, don't forget, it's all about insider buying, right? Beat estimates, but it's outlook. You know, Adobe is a mature company. They're showing no innovation. They're showing no imagination. I'm just. COVID cases, who cares? Ooh, 2.9 billion in infrastructure grants to states and cities. You go, boy. I like the dude. Come on. He's bright. You know, you ever hear him talk? He's not afraid of anything. He'll go on any news channel and he'll just say, whatever. Okay, this is war. This is what it looks like. So what is all this? Where are all these people going to go who are leaving, Ukraine? Europe's got problems, right, with that. All right, I told you yesterday they're back. At the end of the day, I said they were back putting on hedges. I put some hedges on too. And I also told you that my friend here, my SQQQ friend, okay, was back. So I followed that, and I told you I followed that. Whoever this is, do that. I love them. I mean, they're fantastic. I just love what they do. Right? I'm impressed. All right, so let's take a peek here in terms of volume, premium volume paid. Well, you can see it was all shorts, right? A lot of it was shorts. A lot of these were hedges, right? They were doing April, now they're doing May. Whoever this is, I believe it's one institution who is putting these hedges on. Okay. I don't know if they're doing a calendar or whether they're rolling, whatever, but yeah, Sunny. Yeah. So look, we'll talk. Right? Like I said, I put some hedges on. So this is interesting, right? I kind of like this. This is the new format. And the reason why I like this is because it really gives you a deep dive immediately into what's going on. 83%. Someone thinks they know something, right? So this is unusual, new and opening positions. This is really quite something. So we'll just keep an eye on that, right? And the reason why we're not looking at this is because this is broken, right? It almost got to on the GME side, but this is broken, right? I mean, 2.8 million versus 12 million. Tesla, 18 million versus 48 million. So this is the rotation, right, we talked about. Retail has found a way to be successful, not doing this shit anymore. And they've been doing it for months now, and nobody's paying attention. That's why they do these little, like Tiger, these little low float small caps, okay, baby bios, all that stuff. And they are being successful. GameStop, Tesla. Oh, here we go. That's it. Insiders. This is really interesting. This is NXTD and PCT, Pure Cycle. This PCT is interesting as well. Right? This is what we need. And then we have the Kodak, Eastman Kodak was, yesterday as well. This was multiple, this is single. Pennies, pure, UEPS. So I want to see if any of these things, the money flow starts flowing here, right, as a support. PLBY, Playboy, right? Sell it. This is a pretty good size too. IOTC as well. And then you see here. Okay. All right, tips. Let's take a peek. Do we have anything notable here? Notice 70% is, it's been a dry spell here. Pick-up, this is interesting though, right? We'll see how that plays out. Yeah, okay. I mean, average return is pretty uninspiring as well. All right, somebody see. Oh yeah, we got seasonality, but I don't know. Like I say, I don't shout this. All I know is that the bounces that we got were in the seasonality strength stocks more robust than others, but they were also, because a lot of those basically are high beta names, right? High PE growth names. So you would expect them to bounce the most, right? I just don't think this is actionable, I guess is what I'm saying right now, right? Optimism, sentiment reversal. This is the XME. Okay, so this is, I personally prefer DBC. Okay, I'm not looking at this, but just so you know, whatever. This goes back to Tuesday. I don't think this is meaningful, but I'm showing it to you anyways. Like I say, I have had real, look at this. We have to pull back today. So this is what you see on the extreme, right? When you're in a bear market and you're rallying, these rallies get crazy, right? Sea of red, 90s. These are all these dark red are all 90 plus. And what do you got? The bonds on the downside, right? So it's just a short time frame, right? It's between the 10 and the 50 day, right? So that's not bad, but we have to reset. Social sentiment is bearish. Social sentiment is bearish. This is the Dow Q. Social sentiment is bearish. And we got social sentiment is modestly, slightly bearish, right? And then you see, I didn't expect this. Well, here you go, SPY. So, it's like a little, it's like a little ping pong back and forth, right? So this was buying Qs and SPY, selling nothing much, right? And then today it'll be the opposite, right? Okay, let's get through it real fast. All right, bonds, yield curve, flattening, steepening a little bit, right? Okay, down a little bit, overseas, all across the board, rates are down. This is what's really important, the 2 and the 5. It is not flattening, okay? It is steepening a little bit. So that actually is bullish for the market. Right. Here's the 510. You see it's pulling back a little bit. So, yeah, we spiked, but we're pulling back. So the individuals, but they're moving equally, or in essence, they're not flattening the steepening side. I'm telling you right now, China, get off your ass. You've got to start doing something in terms of quantitative easing. That's my story. Germany, this continues to go higher. Here's the Forex. And then you have the Chinese yuan. They have to raise their currency. They have to devalue it, not devalue it, but weaken it slightly, slowly. They have to. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Here's the crypto, slightly down, but what a kick-ass kind of crazy-ass couple of weeks. Here's gold. Look, once again, we are in a commodity super cycle. You will have pullbacks. You buy the F dip. Okay, that's the story. If you're going to get cute about stuff, right, you will miss pops, and then you'll be chasing, and then you'll be a week long, and then when it pulls back, you'll be selling. You always have a position on, and you add back into those positions on pullbacks. I cannot be more specific than that. That's how you make money in a commodity super cycle. Actually, that's how you make money in commodities. You cannot day trade it. It just doesn't work that way. You can scalp it, but overall, DBC still in it. You know it. I bought it down here. I like it. Here's natural gas. Look, this is muscle memory of decades being involved in commodities. I cannot tell you why that I bought it down here. I know that seasonality wise, it should not be doing this. I just have this feeling, nobody's talking about it. I have a feeling it's going to do something funny. And that's why we bought Boyle yesterday at $44.50. Okay, that's why I bought it. Now it's at $50. I can't tell you how I do this. It's just muscle memory working. Reversion to the mean gets you to 50, 50, 55. It's just something that the reality is supply demand. And you know, we have a member who's very knowledgeable, and you can't basically just drill or add on whatever, right? So if you're going to go, it's supply and demand. There's just not enough supply for the demand, especially as there's an evolution more into the green stuff, right? Here's crude. It's in no man's land. It's at the mid right now, but there is an interesting right here, this 114.83, right? That's still a pivot that has to be reclaimed. Okay, as long as it's below that, this is where you would sell, not buy. So what I'll do is I'm going to write against my USL calls that I bought. Okay. So here's gold, silver, it's bouncing. So, you know, that means that gold is starting to strengthen against crude. It's not what you want to see either. Gold's holding up fine, not a problem there. So let's look at the stocks, down slightly, across the board. VIX is up slightly, FTSE's up slightly. Okay, mainly slightly pulled back, right? Here's the QQQs. This is the funky one that this is the one that tells you when you're to buy and sell. All right, well, guess what? Just had a buy signal. Right, and we haven't had a buy signal since December 2021. Okay, I don't know if it's going to work, but that's what it says. All right, DAX, still triple top. That's why I bought some FES yesterday. All right, that was my hedge. All right, EFA, ooh, right there into the 100. Right, let's quickly go through this stuff. Shanghai Composite, who cares? It's within a crazy ass candle stuff. Double top on the FXI. That's why I bought a little bit more Yang. Double top on KWeb. That's why I bought some KWeb puts. Look, it has to show me it's going to break. Okay. I bought some extra Yang here because you can see here it's holding the support line. QQQ, this is pulling back a little bit. This is notable against the QQQ. I don't know if there's any trade there for us. Obviously, it's nothing. The BXN double bottom here on the weekly. FANG rebuffed at the 23.6% fib. It's right sitting there. It has to reclaim in order for this, and it's a monthly downtrend line. Right, here's the SPY QQQ. All right, so what has to happen here? This has to actually break in order for us to say that the techs are going to rally some more. Right, so we know that the SPY has been outperforming in terms of the QQQ. Right, has not been selling off as much. So this is notable. It has to snap, and unless it doesn't, we're not going to get any sort of meaningful rally. Quickly, we went over this. This is the semis. This is what it looks like. This is strong seasonality for the semis, right? All the way out to May, all right? SMH holding SOX SMH. This is disconcerting. And the reason why I say this is the SOX is a US semis, right? Okay, and it's starting to pull back. So that would be Nvidia pulling back. So this is a red flag for us right now. And that's why I bought some more SOX, SOXS, in the money calls. Okay. Taiwan semi, uninspiring, right? Here's Nvidia, Taiwan semi. Nvidia has been holding up well. Let's see if that can continue. What would happen if that SOX, SMH pulls back, right? Then Nvidia will start to pull back as well. That's why you look at these spreads. AMD, Taiwan semi, holding up fine, but starting to pull back as well. That would be the SOX pulling back. Micron, nowhere. But be careful here. This 74.79 is an extension on the monthly, notable. Intel, what's going on here? Uninspiring. But it did hold this 100 EMA, which is kind of interesting, but got rebuffed at this monthly extension. Bearish. AMD in and of itself, reversion to the mean. Okay. Until that, you know, and we also have this on the weekly. You can see that right there. Okay. Popped, then dropped. Notable. Right? So this is all red flags, right? AMD, Intel still holding up fine. AMD is going to kick ass against Intel. Lam Research, this is really disappointing how weak this company has been. Granted, the earnings weren't what we wanted. AVGO looks really nice, right? Holding this uptrend line, but even then, last month's high right? 614.64. Okay, so we'll see how that plays out. You know, until it does, it's the top end of the range and you got to sell. AMAT in the middle of the range, nothing going on there. Did get rebuffed at an extension and this 23.6. So all these things are kind of being red flags for me. And XPI, well, that's just dead. Clack. Nvidia, all right, let's talk. Reversion to the mean, right? It got rebuffed. And you can see this, right? Ouch. We now officially have a quadruple pivot point on it. So what's the pivot? 273.10. Okay, until that takes it out, the risk is on the downside now. 258.30 is the next level. If that breaks out, then 251.72. All right, so I'm going to be buying as long as it's below here. I'm going to now be buying with that rebuff at the 273.10. I have to look at it on the short side. Okay, so basically breaking the 13 EMA. That's the narrative on this. All right, so here's the Nvidia. You know the drill here with the SMH, right? So this is what's going on here. Here's an extension. Is basically got rebuffed. It had broken through, now got rebuffed. That's another red flag. AVGO, Nvidia. I kind of like AVGO against Nvidia, guys, gals. Haven't shouted this out in a while, but we'll see. Nvidia against Qualcomm, double top. Nvidia against Micron. So basically this is last week's high, and that basically has to hold that. If not, then it's, well, you know the drill, right? Nvidia against Intel, pulling back. 38.5, this is the 562 spread. Broke out, right? And then now pulling back again, right? Negative. So all of these are saying heavy on Nvidia. That's the Reader's Digest, double top on Nvidia now, guys, against. So what is this telling you? You can be long AMD and short Nvidia. That's what it's telling you, right? So what does this mean? So people say, well, why do you do this? Okay, so if we have this, right, and we go down to here, right, and we go down to here, and that's 214. Okay. So that's 6.5% on a trade. No fuss, no muss. XLP, let's talk. I kind of like it. Like I said, I added back yesterday. So let's take a look at some of these components. All right, Pepsi. I know it's a monthly candle, crazy ass, right? But you can see here, it's actually reclaiming, right? On a monthly, crazy. Look, reversion to the mean, everything got reset. That's all I wanted to see was reversion to the mean, and we got a reversion to the mean. KO, same thing.
All right, Beth, ready to pop on whenever.
All right, let's have fun, friends.
All right, guys, let's take a look at what we got going on today. If you guys are new to chat and haven't already done so, make sure to click that Discord link that's emailed to you. When you do click the Discord link, you're going to pop in chat, and it's going to look like this. First area to go to when you guys do come in, click on that new to chat information section, scroll to the top, and give it a read from top to bottom. Disclaimer section, risk reward, yada yada, right below it. Give it all a read. I'm going to be going through that stuff later in detail once we do close down the YouTube stream. So pre-market tickers on watch, guys. What do we got going on today? A couple different things. Tesla, Adobe, Nvidia, GME, PLL, ALLG. Let's take a look at what we got going on. So Tesla gapping down and sipping the market. Adobe, sorry guys, gapping down. Earnings beat, EPS and revs year-over-year growth 9.1%. Q2 guidance lowered. Nvidia gapping down in sympathy with the market. GME, Chairman Ryan Cohen bought a total of 100,000 shares at an average price of 101.76 to acquire these shares. It costs around 10.18 million, 18.18, gapping up on that. PLO announces pricing of upsized offering of 1.75 million shares of common stock at $65 a share. And then ALG skyrockets as social media buzz increases on EV charging network stock. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. So first two we're looking at today, guys, Tesla and Adobe. So Tesla, a little bit of a gap down here. Obviously, daily chart's still looking quite nice. It is extended to the upside. We did break that range. 952 would probably be the key hold, actually. 980 is the pivot reclaim on the daily. So there's a couple of different levels that we broke to the upside yesterday, which are key. 980 is going to be the pivot though today, 981 area. Let's take a look. Yeah, there it is. And 980.76 to be exact. So 980.76 pivot on Tesla today. This level is able to hold. We do have room for continuation towards 1004. That level breaks, 1024 will be tested on the upside. Unable to hold, we're back to that 952 range breakout area on the daily. And if that level breaks, 926.55. Overall on Tesla, I do think we're going to be pulling back slightly today, but I'm going to be looking for a bounce. So pullback and a curl essentially is what I'm going to be looking for. Fill that gap extension and then look for continuation back to the upside. So we'll see if it comes back to 952. If it doesn't, probably 965 area-ish, because I think that extension will move up on the open quite a bit to be filled. And then we should be able to curl back up. And I'll look for the reclaim of that pivot, potentially get back into last day's highs, but I don't think we're going to be breaking out. Most likely going to be an inside day on Tesla, in my opinion, in between last day's high and low range. Let's take a look at Adobe. So Adobe, guys, nice little curl off the lows. The earnings did come out. They were negative because of the guidance. So that was the big thing there. Let's see where we got room to today. So we're gapping down to 450 a share, essentially last day's low. Let's get the EMA support labeled here. All right, so there's that. Probably don't need to go that low. Get the next EMA support there. Okay. Those levels all line up. Bing, boom, 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 boom. Okay. Let's take a look at this thing on the daily here. A lot of supports it's coming into. Basically the previous range that it traded within a couple of years ago. Pivot to the downside today, 448.43. This level was unable to hold. We got room towards the 439.12 to 426.45. Able to hold 459.24 to 471.90 on the upside will be tested. Overall on Adobe, going to be leaning bearish, looking for a continuation lower. If that pivot point's unable to hold, one of the things is you need, these names do lower guidance in this type of tape. Usually they do come in a little bit in continuation. So I'd be looking for a little bit of a continued pull to the downside, leaning bearish neutral. I don't think it's going to be a huge move to the downside. It's not like they, to cut their guidance by a ton. Just a slight break, slight cut of guidance. So looking for a little bit of a sell-off, and then we'll see what's what on Adobe. Probably will curl. So that's Tesla. That is Adobe. Let's take a look at Nvidia. Let's take a look at GME. So Tesla GME, let's have a look. So not Tesla GME, Nvidia GME. All right, so Nvidia, a little bit of a gap down here. $259.79 pivot. This level is able to hold. We got room back towards 267.18 to that 273.07 level on the upside. Unable to hold. The pivot 253.20 to the 247.67 on the downside. Nvidia daily, not really extended, to be honest. It looks fine from that regard. It didn't really get a push to the upside yesterday to give it an extension, but it is pulling back off that range resistance on the daily to the upside. So I'm thinking that we're going to be leaning more on the bullish neutral side on this name today. I'll be looking for either reclaim and hold of the pivot if it does break, or a little bit of a curl off the lows for a flag formation or a push back up. Again, you may see an inside day on the name. Similar to Tesla, but more on the bullish side. So I'm going to be leaning a little bit more on the bullish neutral side of Nvidia today. Let's take a look at GME. So GME, a little bit of a push through this resistance area. Big level off the lows. That's going to be the key level to hold for sure today. side charts. There we go. Sitting on it right now. That's the pivot. All right. Okay, let's see here. Let's get another pivot point, I guess. Okay, let's take a look at GME intraday. $133.24. Levels able to hold. You got room towards 147.04. That level breaks. 161.46. Unable to hold. Look for a pullback towards 120.69 to 104.66 on the downside. Overall on the GME, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today. Looking for a slight pullback out the open. I do think you'll see a reclaim of the pivot and a continued push higher. I think this does have some squeeze potential in it once again off the lows, but that pivot's going to be a key level to get back above. That's a daily range resistance to the upside. It's a big level to get back for continuation. That's Nvidia. That's GME. Let's take a look at the next two, PLL and ALLG. So PLL pullback on the offering, 1.75 million shares. Let's see what the float is. That's, I mean, it's not super significant, but float before was 15 million essentially. So it ain't nothing. It is going to impact it a little bit. 65 a share, my guess is this gets bought up. This is the lithium name that has the deal with Tesla, by the way, guys, if you're unaware. Okay, let's take a look at this thing intraday. Okay, so pivot to the downside today, 66.18 level break, 63.46 to 60.82 level hold, 69.16 to 72.81 on the upside will be tested. Overall in PLL, I'll be looking for, well, basically I'll be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a little bit of a pull up the gate and then a curl back to the upside, basing and a curl. I think you know, like I said, it's going to hold up pretty decent. So that's what I'm thinking there. Gets bought up after it pulls back and consolidates essentially. ALG, let's take a look at this. Really? Okay. We'll have to do a fib intraday then. Let's take a look at the intraday levels. It'll be much more useful than looking at that daily. It's a little bit of a double top. Resistance from before. Support. 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 I don't even need to do fibs at the moment. Okay. Typically I do a fib extension if it was trading near the highs, but it's not. It's trading in the middle of its range. 10-11 pivot to the upside today. Level holds turn towards 1201 to 1345. That level breaks. I will do a fib extension to get the next resistance. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback to 850 to 747 on the downside. Overall on ALLG going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation push higher. Looking for basically a retest of that double top, and then we'll see what's what if we get through it. Lower float name, not really any resistance above it. So it does have the potential to break out and get a nice little push continuation move, I think. All right, let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG here. All righty, guys, SPY and the FANG. Let's see what we got. So let's get the daily here. Obviously, daily a little bit extended, 444 gap fill area. You guys maybe not be able to see it, so I'm just going to do that for you. Overall, though, looks good. I mean, it's a healthy looking chart at the moment. It needs a slight pullback, but after this morning open, we may actually have that gap pretty much filled, in my opinion. So not going to need a huge move here. One thing I'm going to do is relabel the pivot, obviously. There we go. Get rid of that. Okay, cool. So pivot to the upside today, 447.63 levels able to hold. You got room for continuation of 450.91 to 453.63. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 444.66 to 441.32 on the downside. Overall on the SPY, going to be looking for maybe a little bit more of a pullback this morning, slight pullback. We might get into the 444s, but I want to see more of a head fake to the downside and then a curl back up. So leaning, I guess, bullish, but looking for bullish neutral, but looking for a pull out the gate and then a curl. I still think this market's very bullish and there's no reason to fight the tape at the moment. And I think, there are bears getting sucked into the market on the short side. Why is it up? Blah, blah, blah. Fighting the momentum. So we'll see if that's what occurs today. I think gap fill head fake would be quite bullish. But of course, we'll keep an eye on the pivot. Like I'll play puts out the gate if it's unable to hold the pivot. Why not? Just play the direction of the SPY, right? Don't play your bias. Play what you see. As always, keep you out of trouble. Apple, what do we got going on here? Let's just pop this up on the side as we usually do. This makes it a little bit easier. All right, so Apple, guys, what do we got? So we have a little bit of a pullback as well with the market. Slightly extended, I'd say, but downtrend break on the daily. It's a great looking chart. 168.33 pivot to the upside today. Levels unable to hold 166.77 to 165.65. Able to hold, we look for a push towards 170.30 or 171.91. Overall on Apple, going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push higher today. Yeah, so we're into the uptrend on the daily. Okay. Yeah, I'll be looking for a hold of the pivot and a continuation push higher, essentially. Oops. So leaning more on the bullish side. Let's take a look at Amazon. It's weird, I don't have any levels here. Okay. So obviously back into this massive range resistance break on the daily, which is a huge key level at the moment we need to pay attention to. There we go. Okay, perfect. This is quite extended to the upside, guys. I'll be leaning bearish on this. 32.78 pivot to the upside today. Levels able to hold 319 19 to 33.42, unable to hold. 32.39 to the 32.09 level on the downside. Overall on Amazon, going to be looking for a little bit of a pullback today. So going to be leaning bearish neutral. I'm not leaning bearish in the fact that it's going to break down and sell off 150 points, something like that. You get a gradual pullback, probably an inside day, maybe test last day's low, and then we can look for a curl off of that. But that's what I'm thinking at the moment on Amazon. Not overly bearish by any means. All right, Amazon, let's take a look at Netflix, my friends. So I love the daily chart on Netflix. I think it looks fantastic. Obviously, like, consolidation off the lows, EMA curl, rim to the 50 EMA, all bullish. Pivot to the upside today will be last day's highs. That level is able to be reclaimed. We do have room for continuation into the 395.02, unable to hold 376.67 to 365.66 on the downside will be tested. Overall on Netflix, going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. If that pivot point is able to be reclaimed, we'll see what happens there. But overall, I do like the look, so I'm going to be leaning bullish, and yeah, we'll see if it's able to break through. Maybe a consolidative day on it. It is trying to consolidate still on the daily. You can see that flag consolidation right here, right? So that upper end range, last day's highs, is a key level to break through. Facebook, similar to Netflix, back to EMA support here. Rejected at the top range resistance, but in consolidative mode at the moment. Probably an inside day here as well. Pivot upside 214.71, levels able to hold to get room towards 219.17. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 211.45 to 208.83. I'd say Netflix is bullish as well, but it does have some room to pull back at the moment. So I'll be leaning on the bearish neutral side today. When I mean neutral, I really mean neutral on this too. Stays within the range, maybe pulls back to last day's lows and stays within the range, curls back up after. And let's see it breaking out to the upside today. I just see, a day of consolidation. That's it. So leaning bearish neutral on that. Let's take a look at Google. Okay, Google, let's see what we got going on here on the daily. Okay, 28.13 pivot, levels unable to hold. We do have room for continuation lower into the 27.61 to 27.06. Able to hold 28.64 will be tested on the upside. Overall on Google, going to be leaning bearish, neutral as well. Needs a little bit of a pullback. Again, probably an inside day. I think it's just coming back to retest the uptrend on the daily, to be honest, guys. It's nothing like, overly bearish. It's just a slight extension fill. And then we can see what's what. Could probably curl back up, but I'll be leaning bearish out the gate on it. So we'll say bearish neutral on the name for now. I'm not really leaning overly bearish on any of the fan guys. Things are just a little extended to the upside. That's it. Let's take a look at the VIX, the Qs, and the IWM. So VIX guys, what do we got? We got a little bit of a pull to the downside, extended on the downside. We talked about this the other day. VIX can stay extended to the downside longer. Obviously, this uptrend is broken on the daily. Reclaim 24.41. Ignore this when it gets drawn on this chart, guys. It doesn't line up like it does line up here. For whatever reason, it kind of goes lower. Okay. But we can see that obviously there's the downtrend, or sorry, there's the uptrend. It's still below it. Okay, cool. Let's see what we got going on, guys. So pivot 23.51, levels able to hold 24.90 to 26.03. Unable to hold 22.47 to the 21.17 on the downside. Overall on the VIX, going to be leaning on the, not leaning any direction, I guess, at the moment. Looking for a push, probably back up into the 2490 level, then we'll see what's what this morning. Based off of what I'm seeing on the chart, maybe a little bit lower. It depends on where the SPY finds support, of course. There was a divergence on the VIX and the SPY yesterday, if you guys noticed, where the market and the VIX were moving up together for a little bit. See what happens today in that regard, whether there's a divergence again. So, okay, what do we got on Qs? Looks like we're probably going to retest the 50 MA on the daily. Again, looks good. Got rejected at that resistance. A little bit of a double top there. 355.34 is that pivot to the upside today. Unable to hold 350.44 will be tested. Able to hold 340, 358.59. I'm actually going to get that 351 level. Because what is that pivot before? That pivot before was the 50 MA. So let's do that. Let's move this up. 351.03 pivot. There you go. Overall on Qs, looking for a little bit of a pullback into that 351 area. And then we can see what's what. Bearish neutral. That's QQQ. Let's take a look at IWM. $207 pivot. Levels able to hold 208.99. Unable to hold 204.87 on the downside. Actually going to be leaning more on the bullish neutral side of IWM today, looking for a curl back above that pivot. Daily chart looks great, wasn't extended. Bullish consolidation above all EMA support, holding that 50 MA well. It's just a matter of getting back above this resistance level, that 208.80, that double top on the daily there. And if it does, obviously we get continuation higher. So that is the IWM. Anyways, that's the SPY, that's the FANG, those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. Going to go ahead, pass over to Sell Peach while I type up that pre-market action plan, and then we'll go through those names on a little recap for the open. Sell Peach, if you're ready, it's all yours.
Morning, guys. Okay, let's see what's going on today. All right, let's look at those bonds, see what's doing there. We got a flat 10-year after really ripping this week. We're up to 237, which is the highest we've seen in a long time. Okay, I don't know how long, but a long time. And we got the 510. There isn't, slight inversion there. Okay, so that's that. The 710 is inverted, not that meaningful. But basically going the 3 and the 10 basically trade at the same price. Okay, so very, very, very flat yield curve. And the 10-2, which is what most people look at, is a 23 spread. Last week it was, the other day it was 19. That was the lowest I've seen, now 23. Basically they're telling you, I don't know, stagflation, I think is a easy conclusion to draw upon by the bond market action. Looking overseas, we see the 10-year in London at 168. That's off the high of 170, but up from 0.70 at the beginning of the year. So a big move there, and it's holding its gains. And that's basically the gist of things. Okay, 10-year in London is 0.50 in a little bit, et cetera, but rates are, high and probably moving higher, right? Maybe they would go down if there was some resolution in the Russia situation with Ukraine, but that doesn't look like that's happening. So not anyway, anytime soon. So that's what we have, okay? We have a bond market that is providing a headwind for equities, for sure, okay? Commodity prices, we got oil up again. One of Vladimir Putin's top advisors steps down and leaves Russia. Leaves Russia over the war in Ukraine. Good for him. Okay, so oil's up almost $4. All right, 113. What did it get to at the highs? Like 124, something like that. So off the highs, but stubbornly strong and providing everybody with a lot of angst regarding inflation. Okay, natural gas is 530. You know, it's high. What can you say? It's higher in Europe for sure. Uranium prices also very high. I mean, I just went through all these commodities this morning, and for the most part, stubbornly high. I mean, gold came off its big move, but I don't know. I don't think gold's an inflation hedge. Some of you might disagree with that, but whatever. Wheat up again, but down from the $1,300 level. It's at 1,100 now, but pretty strong. Corn isn't really at highs. It looks like it wants to break out. And so commodity prices, agriculture commodities, of course, we know are strong, right? Currency wise, dollars mixed against North America, down against the yen, up against the Chinese currency. Nice bounce off the bottom there. See if it can hold these gains. I doubt it. Europe is at the euro's at 109.8, so that kind of hanging in there. And that's that. Okay, with currencies, crypto's pretty flat this morning. Bitcoin's flat, up $100. Ethereum's down less than 1%. Solana's flat, 33 cents. So nothing there. And let's look at the foreign market, see what we got there. FTSE's down 3. DAX is starting to get hit harder. It's down 166, 1%. The CAC, France, is down 1%. And over in Asia, they had a pretty good night. Nikkei was up 3%. China was up just a little bit. What were they up? 0.5%. And Hong Kong was up 1%. Okay, so that's the background. Now let's see what it all means. Okay, so we have banks and Fed. We know where Powell stands. Okay, he's going to fight inflation no matter what it takes. All right, I don't think he wants to put us into a recession. Would he rather have inflation than a recession? I don't know. My guess is he'd rather put us into a recession than have spiraling inflation, but we'll see. Okay, so that's really that. China, nothing really out of China this morning. It'll be curious to see if they help Russia. I don't think they will. Okay, they have too much to lose. So we'll see what that's all about. Russia, what's going on with them? Putin's warning that they're going to use chemicals against the Ukrainians. There's also the Belarus has 5,000 troops. You know, it's amazing. Russia's got this big army, right? All ganged up. They're going to crush these guys in 2 weeks, and they have to bring in people from Belarus because they can't fight. Give me a break. The only thing the Russians have is tactical weapons, it seems, because their soldiers are for shit. Or the Ukrainian soldiers are really good. I'm not sure which one, but now they have to bring in Belarus. They can't fight their own battles. That's really, they outnumber these guys, I don't know what, 10 to 1? It's a joke. Anyway, moving on. So they're going to use chemicals. Biden's warning, we'll see, hopefully not. I don't know what the repercussions would be if that were to happen. But he also, threatens to use tactical nuclear weapons. So, the guy's a lunatic. What can you say? All right. Crypto we talked about. The oil market. I'm gonna circle back to that. Okay. The virus. So it's gaining some steam in the U.S. I think the numbers were up 10% in New York on this new variant. Scott Gottlieb was on this morning. He's not too concerned about it. He's been a pretty good judge of what's to be. And so if he's not concerned, I'm not concerned. Okay. If he got concerned, I would get concerned. He thinks the number's going to fall off fast like they did in Germany. So he's the expert. I'm not a doctor. I'll go with the smart guy in the room. Okay. Looking at the market yesterday, what did we have there? The Dow was up 250, SPY is 50, NASDAQ had a good day, up almost 300, and the transports were up 140, okay? What was negative was big oil E&P, materials, gold, silver, fertilizer. So it was the opposite of what we've been seeing, more or less, right? We've been seeing those groups really strong, so we had weakness in them. And then groups that have started to have some momentum behind them had a good day. High PE tech, the banks, EV, solar, China, FANG, entertainment, consumer non-durables, and insurance. So pretty good day by and large, okay, for the market, except if you were long those names that have been benefited by high inflation and the war in Ukraine, okay? So what's going on? Jamie Dimon, you know, I've talked about the administration doing a fabulous job building a coalition and a terrible job with energy policy. And it looks like Jamie Dimon wants to, you know, change the narrative on energy policy, kind of like a Marshall Plan. It's pretty clear to me that the US and Europe are getting very close, okay? And you remember when I used that analogy, it's like a basketball game, you know, in the schoolyard and they're picking teams. I think that's what's going on, okay? So the US and Europe are really getting in bed together. He wants to do a Marshall Plan to have a solid energy policy and transition to renewables. So he wants to end the red tape for renewables and the bureaucracy that goes along with building something, and have a near-term plan until we get to that point where renewables can grab the baton. And this administration is completely, it's like romper room watching them and their energy policy. They're completely void of any ideas, any strategy, anything to do with, I mean, it's really a joke. Okay, so maybe, you know, that's why the whole political system here is a joke, because the left is too left, the right is too right, most of us live in the middle, and a Jamie Dimon kind of guy who's very pragmatic and cerebral could probably unite everybody, but that's a whole nother story. So that's his plan. Let's see what they do with it. My guess is they flip him the bird or ignore him, and we continue to do nothing regarding energy policy. And we need to, because Russia's holding the cards for Europe, and it's not right. Okay, so that's that. They talked about a recession and the probability of a recession. If we do have a recession, the market on average falls 35%. So you can look at this market bounce as a dead cat bounce. You can look at it however you want, but the bond market is telling me the odds of a recession keep going up, and we'll see how that changes. Maybe if the Russia situation were to come to a conclusion, that would change the narrative on inflation and the bond market, but we'll see. It's too early to tell, but we'll see. Okay, so but if we were to have a recession, like I said, 35% peak to trough on average. Okay, and I think we were overvalued on an average basis, so I think it would probably be more than 35%. What else is going on? So basically, you're seeing an aligning of US and European strategy, which is what's going on there. You had Carl Icahn on TV last night. Now, he's been kind of bearish on the market for a while. So I also find that as guys get older, they become more bearish. I mean, I've noticed that with a lot of people over the years, different guys who I respect. But what did he talk about? Don't fight the Fed. Without the Fed, put, it's a game changer. There is no more Fed put. We all know that. We all would agree with that. He sees a rough landing. He thinks that market participants, the average traders, are dope, is what he said. They have no idea what they're doing, effectively, is what he said. So inflation, he says it's very hard once inflation comes to get the genie back in the bottle. Basically, he sees a recession or maybe something worse. That would be really earth-shaking. Negative on the markets, inflations, and all the implications. Market has serious headwinds with the war and what have you. That's really it. And he talked about one of his deals, SWX, which he has an $80-something bid in for, but that's talking his book, so I don't think that's worth going into. He also talked about the U.S. the world wanting dollars, and he thinks that ship is sailing. Basically, the dollar's advantage is going away. The US has been getting cheap goods for years, and that advantage that we've had because people want dollars, you see it every day. You see what Russia said today. We'll still sell you Russian gas, but we want you to pay in rubles. So he's trying to jack up the Russian currency, which is actually pretty smart. That's icon, okay? All right, what else came out today? Remember that a couple of days ago, they were talking about a rumor of a hack at Microsoft. Well, they talked about it today, and they are seeing signs of that, and they talked about it, and so far they're monitoring the people who use their different software packages, and that's that. And so that's that. Okay, so let's move on. Numbers wise, on the positive side, you had Clear, YOU, FA, General Mills, which I was really surprised at, and HQY. We also saw GME, Ryan Cohn bought 100,000 shares, like paid like a 10 million plus. ACB bought Terraforma for 38 million. Root has a new CFO. NLSN, supposedly Elliott and BAM are going to increase their bid. I am out of the stock because I had the 26s, and it doesn't appear that even if they make a higher bid, it's going to be significantly above that. So I'm okay with it. If I could buy the 26s at maybe 15 cents, I might take a shot, but nothing more than that. Tesla opened their European factory. That was yesterday, you know that. Let's see, there was a merger in the pot industry, Columbia Care and something Labs merged. Okay, so that's that. Supposedly, what's his face, the senator from New York, whatever his name is, Schumer, is getting ready to sign some kind of legalization or pot thing. So maybe that's good for pot stocks. I am in the pot sector. What else? That's it. On the short side, you had GAN with all these had numbers: HYZN, POSH, SNPO, WOR, Winnebago, Adobe, and PAGS. This is like the third miss for Adobe in a row. It's the second or third, I'm not sure. So these guys all like this stock, but when you miss that many times in a row, I got to scratch my head. All right, even though they're all reiterating their outperforming this name today. What else? PLL is doing a secondary, priced pretty well below the market, which I would think they could have been priced it a little better. It came at 65 bucks. So that's that. There was an LFG one as well at 17.75. BMO is doing a stock offering. ARGX is doing an offering. So we're starting to see the syndicate calendar build up a little bit. And CNC, who had a really good CEO, he was an old guy, but he got sick, and that's a negative. For this stock, they named a new CEO, which means he ain't coming back, which is a little sad. Numbers after the close, we have KBH, PHUN, remember that one that was a high flyer? SOL, Steelcase, and Trip.com. And we have two more Chinese names tomorrow before the opening, Momo and KC. Okay, KC was a good stock to me last week. I did really well in that name. So that's that. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at Kathy. It has almost stopped trading. It's very weird. You know, her list, which she bought and sold millions of shares a day. I think she's down to like trading 100,000 shares a day. It's just nothing going on in her portfolio. Insider buying. So we had Kodak, right? Kennedy something. I never heard of this group. Bought, what did they buy? They bought a boatload of this thing. That's one, let's say 2 million, 4 million. They bought about 5 million shares. Okay, at around 580 would be my guess. So that's that one. There was the Ryan Cohn thing, 100,000 shares. GMS, Coliseum Capital, bought $12 million worth of that one. and JELD. I've seen them. These guys are back to the well again. They bought $4.5 million worth of that one. So we had, and CFLT, that was another one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 insider buys. Okay. We have the second syndicate calendar. We had the PLL we discussed, the LFG we discussed. We have one more IPO coming later in the week and 2 more secondaries that have been announced that are coming. Okay, so that's that. All right. Let's see, research-wise. Well, let's discuss groups first, okay? Obviously, the oils and the mining stocks should be good today. It's probably a reverse from yesterday kind of day. I think the market, you know, kind of had a relief rally, and it's probably going to be trading water here or lower, I think, for the next week or two. We'll see. I sold my tech stocks, as you know. I told you guys I sold them yesterday afternoon. So I'm out of that sector for the moment. I thought I'd be able to buy them cheaper. Maybe I'll be right. So far, so good. I do like the group. So that's that. And what don't I like? Let's see. The home builders, I don't like them. Airlines, price of oil doesn't help them. I'm not too into them. The flat yield curve, I do not like the banks. You know that. And accordingly, I'm not so high on insurance stocks. So that's how I see the groups. Let's see if there's any research worth a damn here. Probably not. Guys are saying this switch. Bloomberg said it was maybe a deal there. They're saying that it's worth between like 34 to 38 bucks if you so inclined. I think Bloomberg is usually wrong on this stuff, so I'm not playing it. Affirm, the target goes from 140 to 80 at Morgan Stanley. That was a ridiculous target. And Square, they initiated with an equal weight 146 target, so not so high on that one. They like these Chinese EV companies, but they lowered the targets in them. 49 to 41 in LI. NEO is now a 34 target from 66, and XPIV goes from 171 to 42. And that's really it. So I'm out of time anyway. So I'm going to give it to Spartan. Let's have a good day, guys. That's it. It's all yours, my man.
All righty, thank you, South Beach guys. Morning, what's going on? If you guys are new to chat, make sure to click that Discord link that's emailed to you. You guys do come to chat. It looks like this. First area to go to when you do click into chat, click on the disclaimer section, give it a read, as well as go to the new to chat information section, scroll from the top to the bottom. We'll go through that in just a second. Pre-market tickers on watch, everything's posted here, guys. If you're watching the YouTube stream, you can just pause and read it if you want. There you go, there you go, there you go. And here's all the individual names here. Or all the spy in the fang, sorry, charts. And then let's quickly just go through it. Oh, option side as well. Take a quick look at that. There you go. All right. Pre-market tickers on watch. What do we got going on today, guys? A couple different things. Tesla, Adobe, Nvidia, GME, PLL, ALG. Tesla gapping down in sympathy with the market. Adobe earnings beat, EPS and revs year-over-year growth 9.1%. Q2 guidance lowered. Stocks gapping down. Nvidia gapping down in sympathy with the market. GME gapping up. Chairman Ryan Cohen bought a total of 100,000 shares. Stocks moving on that. PLL gapping down. They announced an offering at 65 bucks, 1.7 million shares. Then the ALG was moving on basically social media buzz on the increase of EV charging networks. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. So first two names that we're looking at today, guys, are Tesla and Adobe. Let's have a look. So Tesla, Adobe, Tesla 980, whoops, there we go. 980.76 pivot to the upside today, level holds. We got room towards 1,004 to 1,024 if that level is able to break. Unable to hold 952 to 926. Looking for a slight pullback on Tesla today. I would love to see a pivot, reclaim, and a push, but I think it's going to be more so of an inside day. We'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong. I want to see Tesla break up. But it is slightly extended, needs a gap to fill. Adobe, 448 to 43 pivot. Levels able to be reclaimed, room towards 459.24 to 471.90. Unable to hold 439.12 to 426.45. Leaning bearish neutral on that name today. Looking for a continuation lower. They did lower the guidance, so I am looking for a little bit more of a move. Not a huge lower, but it is still the guidance lower. Nvidia and GME. Let's have a look at that. Nvidia 259.79 pivot, unable to hold. We got room for continuation towards 253.20 to 247.67. Able to hold, look for a pushback towards 267.18 to 273.07 on the upside. Overall, Nvidia, I think it's going to be an inside day there as well. Probably going to bounce off the pivot. That's what I'm looking for, at least. Not extended on the daily, so I do think we'll get a curl to the upside. GME pivot 133.24 level holds. We got room back towards that 140. 704 to 161.46, unable to hold 120.69 to 104.66 on the downside, leaning bullish neutral on that name as well. Let's take a look at PLL. Let's take a look at ALG. PLL, ALLG. So PLL pivot to the upside today. 66.18 level hold, 69.16 to 72.81, unable to hold 63.46 to 60.82. Going to be leaning bullish, looking for a reclaim of the pivot and a maybe not a gap fill exactly, but I'm looking for a bounce on the name after that offering. ALG 10.11 pivot level holds. We got room towards 12.01 to 13.45, unable to hold. 850 to 747 on the downside. Going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side of ALG, looking for a continuation push higher today. So that's PLL, that's ALLG. Let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG. All right, guys, market is obviously trying to curl back to the upside here. Let's take a look at this. All right, so SPY 447.63 pivot to the downside today. This level is unable to hold. Room lower into the 444.66 support. Whoa, where'd she go? There you go. Breaks. You see the 441.32 level tested. Pivot is reclaimed. Room higher into the 450.91 resistance. Breaks, we see the 453.63 tested. Going to be leaning bullish neutral. Looking for dip and curl. Okay, so basically I want to see head fake to the downside if we can get it, and then a curl. Obviously, if we hold below the pivot, I'll be bearish, but that's what I'm thinking right now at the moment. Apple pivot to the upside today is going to be 168.33 level holds, 170.30 to unable to hold 166.77 to 165.65 on the downside will be tested. Overall on Apple, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side as well, looking for a hold of the pivot or a reclaim of the pivot for a continuation push to the upside. Don't think it looks half bad. Let's take a look at the Amazon and the rest of the thing here. Amazon pivot to the upside today, 32.78 level holds, room towards 33.19 to 33.42, unable to hold 32.39, 32.09, leaning bearish on Amazon, looking for a little bit of a dip here. Bearish neutral, I want to see it fill the gap basically on the daily. Netflix pivot upside, 386.79 level holds, 395.02, unable to hold 376.67 to 365.66 on the downside. Overall on Netflix, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side. If we can get back above that pivot, we'll see what happens there. I think it's more of a grinder. Facebook pivot to the upside today, downside I should say, is the 214.71 spot levels, unable to hold 211.45. That level breaks 208.83. Able to hold 219.17. Going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side of Netflix today. Let's take a look at, Facebook today. Looking for a little bit of a gap fill within this range. Let's take a look at Google. Google pivot to the upside is going to be 28.13 level holds, 28.64. Unable to hold 27.61 to 27.06. And again, looking to be leaning bearish neutral on that name, looking for it to come in a little bit. Last but not least, VIX, Qs, and IWM. VIX 23.51 pivot levels able to hold. We got room towards 24.90 to 26.03. Unable to hold 22.47 to 21.17 on the downside will be tested. Overall on the VIX, not leaning in any particular direction, but I do think we do get a slight bounce if the market pulls back this morning, of course. And then we look for a rejection at the upper end resistance. QQQ's pivot is 351.03. This level is able to hold. Moving back to the boards, 355, 34, 358, 59, unable to hold 346, 44, 50 MA on the daily, going to be leaning bearish, neutral, looking for a retest of it, hold. I don't think it's going to break. And then we can get a curl back to the upside. IW, I'm leaning bullish, 207 pivot level holds. We do have room towards the 208.99. Unable to hold 204.87 downside. Like I said, bullish neutral leaning on that. So that's the SPY. That's the thing. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the pre-market stream. If you do have any questions, you go to SpartanTrading.com. Otherwise, thanks for watching. We do the stream